what's going on YouTube? Welcome to the underwater combat part of my Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate tutorial. Okay, so underwater combat, nobody wants to do it, but it is a necessary evil in Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, and the sooner you get used to it, the more you realise that it's not actually too bad after a while. You just kind of need to take into account the funky camera controls and then learn to deal with it, and then you'll be a lot better off. So, jumping straight in, the first thing I recommend is jump in the water and obviously make sure you're familiar with the controls. It takes a little bit of getting used to trying to move the camera around in the water. You do need to obviously bear in mind that you now have a Z direction to work in as well. You can go up and down as well as obviously forwards, backwards, left and right. So firstly, test out your moves underwater. The moves you have on land will be largely the same underwater, but they'll just be a bit slower, and obviously you need to kind of take that into account when you're positioning the enemy. So test them out first, make sure you're used to them, and then go from there. Also, I recommend that if you are going to sort of travel any distance underwater, put your weapons away. This does kind of stand on land anyway, but especially underwater, when sort of Plesioth might do something like he might swim to the other end of the area, and it will take you a while to sort of swim there. So chuck your weapons on your back and move around. Now the first thing I'm going to say is, if you're using the gamepad or the 3DS or even the Pro controller, there is something which you can turn on, which is basically the lock-on thing. There's an icon on the gamepad and the 3DS, and this does work on the Pro controller as well. Basically, the monster lock-on is something whereby when you press L, it brings up the red sort of reticle and you lock on the centre of the monster. Now this is not something I use on land, but underwater I use it a lot because it means that you're always centred on the monster. Now when you're sort of swimming around underwater, it's really easy to kind of fall underneath the monster or swim above it, and then sometimes when you're trying to line your attacks up, you mess them up or you miss the monster. So just by pressing L and making sure you're centred on it, then all you need to do is swim forwards and start attacking, and at least you know you'll be able to land the hits. Obviously if you're trying to aim for something like the tail or the head, you do need to kind of work that yourself, but at least if you're starting out, then I really recommend this because it just does mean life's a little bit easier. Now if Plesioth is giving you grief, chuck out a flash bomb. They give them to you at the beginning in the blue box. It's a little kind of blue star icon. Flash bomb is basically blind Plesioth. He can still attack, but he can't obviously see you, so he'll attack kind of sort of randomly. So it does give you a bit of an opening. Now the other thing you need to bear in mind while underwater is on the left, as you can see on my screen it's flashing at the moment, is your oxygen bar. Now if you are underwater for too long, you do naturally run out of oxygen, and obviously if you let it go down, then it will start eating into your health. So with that in mind, make sure that you do watch it, and all you need to do if your oxygen is getting low is swim to the top of the water, pop your head above the water, get some oxygen, and then you go back down and you're good to go again. Now the other thing you can do, if Plesioth is also giving you some grief, this is not something you can do too often because obviously you've only got one, or I mean in the demo you've only got one, and in the game you've only got as many as you carry. But if he's troubling you, then drop down a shock trap. They do work underwater, so you just need to bear in mind that there is also obviously height to this as well, so try and sort of plan it out. But as you can see in this case, Plesioth swam straight into it, and then I'm good to go. This gives you a bit of breathing space, and you can lay into him now, do some damage, and then go from there. The only other thing you now need to really take into account underwater is which weapon suits you best. You may well find that when you're above ground or on land, the weapon that suits you there does not necessarily suit you underwater. So think about this. For example, I use dual swords underwater because I like their mobility. I like the lunge attack because I find that it helps me home in on the monster. And these specific ones, they have a paralysis status effect, so it means I can lock down the monster a lot more. Whereas on land, I might say use longsword or sword and shield more so than I would underwater. So really, I know they're only kind of some basic points, but if you're new to the game and you jump in water and suddenly you're like, whoa, I don't like this combat, just sort of take these into account and perhaps they might make your life a little bit easier. Anyway, as always, don't forget to like and share this video. Hopefully it's been helpful, and obviously don't forget to subscribe. And otherwise, don't forget to check out the other videos for the weapons and any of the basic combat. Otherwise, thanks for watching, take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.